Hey, Dr. Brett here. There's been a lot of talk in recent days about Ben Simmons' performance or lack of performance in the championship series of the Eastern Finals for basketball. Um, he Players like Shaq, former players like Shaq, were so freaking critical of him. He basically said he would beat him up if he were in the locker room because Ben just didn't take any shots really in the fourth quarter of games, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the 76ers folded and collapsed against the Atlanta Hawks. And it was, it's a bummer for Doc Rivers, the coach, and for the team, and it's a bummer for the organization. But what people don't necessarily realize is that it looked like he had the yips. He got afraid of being fouled. He didn't shoot. He was terrible on the free throw line. He got in his head. It's sports psychology stuff where a player loses their confidence and they're no good. But on a professional level, the commentators like, Charles Barkley, they make really good points. You can't play a player who isn't going to help your team win. You're at the professional level, and it is what it is. So in Ben Simmons' case, Magic Johnson talked about him losing the locker room, and that as a result of his poor performance, that maybe they need to trade him because the players will never trust him again. Again, guys like Shaq wanted to just, beat him up, basically, which usually doesn't work when someone loses their confidence. You can't, you gotta, like Magic said, Magic Johnson was basically like, he told a story about like hugging Byron Scott, when Byron Scott was struggling, when they were winning those championships in LA in the 90s or whatever. So, the tough guy approach, the hard ass approach, a lot of times it doesn't really work. We need fluidity and flexibility as a coach, as a player. But when a point guard who's supposedly the leader folds like a cardboard box, it's really tough for the team. I do think the coach has some responsibility there. He didn't, really do what he needed to do to manage the game. And clearly the 76ers had it. They blew it in Game 5 as well. So, these situations are complicated. But if we're going to be understanding at all, we want to realize that sometimes players lose their confidence. They get the yips, and when they do, it's a real problem for other teammates and for the organization. And sometimes we need to make tough decisions as coaches and sit the player.
Hey, Dr. Brett here. Hit like and subscribe. And if you really want to support us, sign up to our Patreon.